Thank you, Tony.
Do we not get an opportunity as the property owner to say something?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come forward, state your name for the record.
My name is Teena Simmons. We're the property owners of 890 Gulf Shores Drive. Let me explain just a little bit about what's happened to us. Back in, I suppose, April of 2016, we looked at advertisements about property on the island through real estate websites, and we saw this property that was being sold on the Gulf. It says, come down to Florida to have your dream home. And we talked to the real estate agent, and he assured us that this property was fully buildable, that we would be able to build just like the property was right next door to us. We had a survey done by Mr. Roddenberry, who you all know, I'm sure, and the survey did not indicate that any type of issues about whether this could be built upon at all. We talked to FDEP, Ms. Valerie Jones, and at that point she said there really should not be any reason why we can't get you on the property in some kind of way. We sold our home in Memphis, Tennessee. We came down here. We have been living here since May, trying to get on this property and weighed out all the various issues with variances. We wanted to build on our property where everyone else builds upon, and FDEP made it very clear to us that we were not going to be able to do that. They said to us that the only way that we could build on our property was to be positioned further back on it if Franklin County would give us that opportunity. We did go through the variance process here in March 21st. We went through an initial board who initially approved that zoning until people complained about it. As far as I can tell, we do not really represent a threat to anyone. There's very few people on that side of the island. Erosion is taking place. People are going to be set back all over that island, and it's not just us. It's happened before us, and it's going to happen after us. I do want to make one final statement, and that is, ever since I came to that island, I found that there are people that don't want you there. And we have been met with friendly people, and we've been met by very unfriendly people who just did not want us there from the beginning. Some of these people are associated with each other, and they are pushing now. I feel that it's very unfair for us to not be able to build our home on Dog Island. And I will leave the decision up to you, but I feel that I should have my ability to express myself.
Thank you for your comment, sir. As we've already taken a vote on this issue, does anybody want to rescind their motion or the second? Will there be no rescission of the motion or the second? The vote stands. The vote was to deny the variance.
And let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. As I stated before, you know, if it had been interior lots, I could see that. But this being the high erosion rate that it is, there may have been other variances given for a existing structure. How many new structures have we had built on the Gulf side of Dog Island?
I can't think of any in the last 5 to 10 years.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that, again, and Mr. Shooter, I'm looking straight at you, again, we've been advertised, you know, in a real estate somewhere else. You know, we just went through something on that. But this board look out for the health and well-being, the public safety, and everything like that. And it's like I said earlier, I'm not going to put my name on a motion that does a new construction and knowing the dangers on that island. I'm just not gonna do it. And I'm sorry, but that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, who's gonna protect the person who sells everything they have? Because it is advertised that you can come down here and build your home. We sold our home, everything we have, we bought this property, and it was sold as buildable. And we even did everything we were supposed to do and talked to FDEP.
You need to come forward, ma'am, and state your name for the record.
My name is Teena Simmons, and we talked to FDEP in the very beginning before we even got through all this process, and we were assured that there wouldn't be any problem with building on there. So who's supposed to be responsible for that? You don't want to put your name on, you want to protect them, but who's going to protect people like me?
I'm not protecting them, honey, I'm protecting you.
Okay, I
I'm
have no
protecting
home
you.
now. I'm living in a
I'm not
camper because I've sold everything I have to build on this
Those
property that we paid for and was promised that we could, to build on.
Yeah, but
So
you're
who's
have a
going to get
bigger-
our money back for that?
You're gonna have a bigger investment if you build a house out there and it gets damaged or destroyed by a hurricane. So that's what the position the county's taking, is that, look, you may have bought the property, but you haven't yet spent the hundreds of thousands of dollars building a house out there. And that's where you really put yourself at risk, because the erosion out there is so severe. We've already seen houses that have to move back, and as you're saying, 2 of them have already been destroyed since then. So it's just a bad location.
Well, then y'all should take down every for sale sign out there, because there's a lot of them out there, and a lot of them's being advertised as for sale, and it's not right.
Ma'am, we as a board don't put the for sale signs on, and we don't have the authority to take them down. I mean, we don't have that authority. Because we didn't put the signs up. We're not selling any property. This board isn't, that's over all this. Outside of our purview, if you understand what I'm saying. To me, that's false advertisement. It does kind of concern me that FDEP tells you one time, well, shouldn't be no problem getting you on your property. Then the next time tell you, well, without just going and getting a variance now, you know, the state agency is giving you a double standard there. Sounds like to me. I don't think this board or any unit of government of Franklin County assured you of all that. Which is who you're standing here before today, is the county board and county staff. I don't think nobody on the staff assured you of anything.
Sir, for 9 months, we were assured by FDEP, not your board.
Right.
I know.
That's correct.
The second thing is, if you're concerned about us, let me tell you what we're doing. We're going to have to leave without being able to build at all, go back to Memphis, where we came from, start all over again. If you're concerned about us, that's what you're doing to us. I feel the concern is actually more towards other people who are on the island who have complained, not about us, okay? So my next move is I'm going to an attorney, okay? You all do what you want. I'm going to an attorney. This is an outrage. I think this has happened to a lot of people in Florida, and I am going to pursue this.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda would be Michael Morone, Planning and Zoning.
Commissioner, I'll leave the light on unless you guys really can't see what's up there, but you got the same thing in your iPad on.
Last Tuesday, we had a planning and zoning meeting, and we had a critical shoreline request for a pier, a single-family pier at 25 South Bay Shore Drive. This is the location map of where that pier will be. And this will be the dimensions. It is 100-foot by 4-foot access walkway with a 12 by 8 terminal platform. They have all of their state and federal permits, and they meet all the county requirements. They have plenty of space between their riparian right lines, and the planning and zoning recommended approval unanimously.
This is on item number 1.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure of the board. Pleasure of the board.
You said it's how, I'm sorry, so how far out did you say it was in?
It's 100-foot by 4-foot access walkway.
Which is actually short for a pier.
Yeah.
And basically, real quick for your information, Commissioner Jones, they make you go out so far that you're not prop dredging the
Right.
bottom. And that determines, if you're in a real shallow area and a shallow area goes way out, you'll see some of these docks 400 foot long. And that's the reason. It's getting you out to, I think it's 3 foot of mean high water, so that you got at least 3 foot of clearance, 3 foot of depth of water, so that you're not prop dredging the bottom.
Mr. Commissioner, or Chairman.
Go ahead.
On this, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it, and I know this ain't from this property owner, but while we're talking about this shoreline on South Bay Shore, North Bay Shore has access to it for the public, to access the waterway. South Bay Shore does not. We have had a constant problem with people, I know that they're gonna own this dock, but they do not own the water. They do not own anything past the mean high tide line. We've had problems with people, or I say problems, complaints, with people either walking through this water floundering and or cast netting or other things, and had people that have been threatened with attacks by the property owner's dog. So they need to understand, if they're building this pier, yeah, people get be on their dock or their pier, but they do have access to get past it on the waterway. Nobody owns the water but the state. I mean, I just want to, since it's coming up, I want to mention it while we're here, because it is a problem.
I think in years past, Mr. Steve noted that in the planning and zoning, and the county did our ordinance where we had to have 10-foot spacing between the pylons so that they can have access to go under and everything. So
That's part of the local county requirement that she's referring to.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. So they do have the ability in the piling spacing is wide enough for a normal boat. You can go under the dock, and if the tide's too high, obviously you have to go around. But we tried to accommodate that. I was
Yes,
on the
sir.
P and Z when we adopted that ordinance
Yes,
that
sir.
she's referring to. So we do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones to approve. Have a second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Question. I want to make sure you understand, there is a distinction. Dan Garlick, and I'm representing this project in one other one, but there is a difference between docks and piers. This one is too shallow to have boats at it. That's why we're doing a pier. So there is a difference. This one's really shallow.
And I also note that a pier is not allowed to have boats moored to it.
That's exactly right.
That's the difference in a pier and a dock. Okay, proceed.
Okay. Mr. Charles Hunter, he's at 2526 East Highway 98 in St. James. He was recommended unanimously for an approval to build a single-family dock on the property. The dock will be 220 feet by 4 feet with a 6 by 20 terminal platform. They have all their state and federal permits, and they do meet the local county requirements. The request was submitted by Frank Ansley.
And that 220 is probably in line with all the rest of them out there.
Yes, sir. This is the property, and these two are the docks that are adjacent. And if you notice, this is the dock here. It's just a straight dock with a 6 by 20 at the end. And then this is the property, and then it shows the riparian right lines. This is the property line, and they can't be no closer than 25 feet. So this dock here is around about 199 feet. And this is 199 feet. This one is 220, so it'll go out a little farther by 20 feet from these.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Okay. The next one would be located at this site on North Sawyer Street. Excuse me. This dock was recommended approval contingent upon receiving the septic and federal permits. They did receive their septic system permit, so we're just waiting on the federal permit. This was a request to construct a single-family pier with an access walkway and terminal platform. It will be 101 feet by 4 feet with a 12 by 8 terminal platform. They do have their state permit and meet their local requirements. And again, it was contingent upon getting their federal permits. The septic system has been granted. The house on the, they do have room for a house. They had a variance last year. So they were waiting on their septic system to finish up their house permitting. So it's the pleasure of the board.
Of note, this is a pier also, and not a dock. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, maybe the other picture, the first picture you showed that's in our packet, the dock that's, or the pier, whichever it is to the left, how far out does it go? The one that's.
This one here,
Yes. Do you
I have
know?
not measured it, no,
Okay.
sir.
No, it's fine.
I
was just
don't
wondering.
believe it will be any farther out because of all of these that you see is kind of in line.
Mhm.
I don't believe it'll be any farther out, but I do not have the correct answer for that.
Okay, that's fine. I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Okay. The next one is a commercial site plan review for an RV park on St. George Island. This is the location of the RV park as requested, and they have 10 lots that they're proposing, one bathhouse, and they have a single entrance and an exit. The entrance will be off of Pine Avenue, and then they'll exit off of Franklin Boulevard. And the bathhouse is located right there at the front of Pine Avenue, and their septic system and drain field will be in this area.
You putting a septic tank?
An aerobic system.
Road system.
Everything on St. George Island is required to have an aerobic or a performance-based system, depending on the nature of it.
The aerobic system is next to Pine Avenue, which is
Yes,
as
sir.
far as they can get it away from the bay.
Yes, sir. This line that is curving right here, and then it comes out here, goes back towards Franklin, that is the 50-foot setback from the critical habitat zone. There's a few wetlands in the corner, so the county has a 50-foot setback to any kind of wetland or water body. So all of his lots that he's planned has been planned outside of that 50-foot setback.
So he's not requiring any variances.
No, no, sir.
Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
I have something I'd like to say. I must be true to myself, and I have said and will continue to say, regardless of plan and regardless of how it is, I am opposed to a RV site on when you're first coming on St. George Island on either side of the road. That being said, I do not propose to know what the pleasure of this board is. I've only been doing it 3 or 4 months, but I must feel that my opinion is known.
Any other comments from the board? Pleasure of the board.
So move.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion on the board by Commissioner Lockley.
What's the commissioner? What was the motion?
To approve it. That would be-
I would second approval. Sorry, I withdraw none.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
Can I say something, Mr. Chairman?
Come forward, state your name for the record.
Walter Armstead. I'm the owner of the property. I came before this board last fall, and I asked y'all to rezone it for an RV park. And I was upfront about it. I presented the plan to the board. You knew exactly what I was asking. We had a public hearing, and that's the only use in that category that I can use that property for. If this is denied today, I will not be able to use that property. Y'all approved it with a public hearing. There was some opposition, but y'all approved it. And so in accordance with that, I went forward and I went to P&Z according to the rules and regulations without any variances and based on y'all's commitment for rezoning it last fall. And I met all the qualifications. I asked for no variance. I met all the qualifications, and P&Z said that I met the qualifications. The board last Tuesday approved it unanimously, your board, and for a recommendation here today. And so I'm asking that you approve it, because I have no other, it was not like I hid what I was going to do. I came before this board, and I told y'all exactly what I was going to do. I even submitted a plan with it. And it was 13 units. I couldn't get 13 units on it, I could only get 10. And I even agreed at the P&Z meeting last week, which I didn't have to do that, but a lot of the opposition was that they didn't want to see the RVs there. So I agreed to screen it myself. And I volunteered to do that, and I put it on the plan. And the P&Z board asked me to do that, and I did. And so I just think it's unfair if you now tell me I can't build on that, because that's the only use I can. You rezoned it for me for that use. And now that I've complied with all the rules and regulations according to the P&Z, and I don't believe this is fair if you deny me the use of my land. And I would thank you for your support.
We do have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second? There being no second, motion dies. Proceed. Proceed.
Okay, I was asked to put together a zoning report. We've had the issue of industrial-type buildings come up, and we don't have any regulations to stop it. So the Board of County Commissioners asked us to go to Planning and Zoning and kind of get some, come up with a plan. So basically, in R1 Single Family Residential District and suitable construction elements, there was a few questions that was asked. How would the look of the metal industrial type unit affect the property values in the R1 district? If presented to the building department, what type of facade for the front of the unit will be acceptable? Should the county consider a new and separate zoning district for such buildings? Should it be considered a special exception and recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission to go before an advisory board of adjustments for the special exception based on standards that would be acceptable within the specific zonings, all residential areas? Basically, the Planning and Zoning recommended approval of a moratorium, and it was unanimous. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended that the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners place a moratorium for such structures within the following zoning districts: R1 Single Family Residential, R1A Single Family Subdivision, R2 Single Family Mobile Home, R3 Single Family Estate Residential, R3MH, which is Single Family Estate Residential Mobile Home, R4 Single Family Home Industry, R5 Multifamily, R6 Rural Residential, R7 Multifamily High Density, and R8 Multifamily Medium Density, and have the county attorney, Michael Schuler, to define the language and the timeframe concerning suitable structures for all residential districts. So I came up with, do you need to say something?
Yeah,
Okay.
I will say, Commissioners, that the planning and zoning struggled a little bit because with the, Attorney Schuler, if we move forward with a moratorium, they're like, based on what? They had, what language? What are we stopping? What are we trying to slow down? And I will say the board was split to some degree. Some wanted just R1. If there was any restrictions to be done, it would be strictly in R1. Others wanted all residentials, like Amy read out here today.
But R1, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, R1 is homes.
Single-family residential,
Single-family
yes.
residential.
And I will,
homes.
yes, what I did hear from some of the board members is that, and I also heard from different people that attended, was that, well, in R2, R3, we put mobile homes, so why are we trying to stop metal homes, in those residential districts? Now, and I heard Commissioner Massey, he also called me, his question is, well, there are home kits that, yes, they're metal siding, but they look exactly like homes. And then Amy has some here for, so if we go to a moratorium, are we stopping those also? So I don't want to make it seem like it was a clear-cut, decision by planning and zoning. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth, and they're quite not sure. They did hear from the county commission, they heard your message that, somebody's single-family home is their castle. So what they don't want to do is have a metal building that kind of kills the property values of all the neighbors around it. They heard that, and they understand that. But, and they realize it's a problem, but how they're searching to, how do we slow this down? What do we need to do? And they're willing to hold workshops with the public, have Attorney Schuler come to them, help them, guide them as to what they need to do. But we're in a little quandary here. We're trying to figure this out ourselves as to what direction we go. There is a new one going up on,
26 South Bay Shore Drive.
yes. And then there's one presently there as an accessory structure that we also got complaints that night at Planning and Zoning that it's being used as a commercial building in an R1 zone. It's an accessory to, there's a house there also. So I'm trying to get the board to understand it wasn't an easy discussion, it wasn't a clear-cut decision, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mr. Chairman, that's the reason why we have R4. R4 is for anybody that wants to do, a cottage industry at home. That's the reason why we did the R4 zoning. But that's what Amy put down is all the zoning categories.
Well, all the residential, that's
Yeah, all residential
kind of what,
categories.
Well,
So,
and you also got to take into consideration that some of these metal home kits are just as fine as any other home.
yes.
Yeah.
Others
We have some
aren't. So it ain't like you're
Can I
trying to.
speak? Can I
When I
speak
get
on this?
through here, I'll recognize you, sir.
Alrighty.
What we're trying to deal with here is these freight containers that are now converted to a home. That's not the same as some of these other homes that are just as nice as a stick-built home.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of different situations here, and you can't just say metal homes are metal homes. Some metal homes are real nice. Some metal homes look like crap. And you put them next to a $500,000 home, you're definitely gonna drive down to the property back. So it's not that, in my opinion, I'm not against metal homes. It's what type of metal home are you talking about? Where should that metal home be located? And these are the issues that was asked by P&Z, and they're struggling with that. And we're gonna have to get the county attorney involved to decide and help P&Z decide to come back to this board with a recommendation as to, I don't know how you classify a true nice metal building home, but then you got other people that just wants to put up a metal building and then put 1,000 feet of living space in front of it, and it's just a lot going on, and it's not that I'm against a metal home kit. It's a lot of the other stuff that people are using as loopholes and trying to get around the existing county regulation. So that's kind of where I'm at. I can't say where the board's at on it, but I was one that suggested that we send this back to P&Z and then let them look at it, but it's a very complicated issue. And without a moratorium, then you just allow people to put whatever they want, wherever they want, then you can have people coming down here saying that my home's been devalued by actions of the county. So that's, and that's something that needs to be looked at by the county, and that's what we're trying to do.
We got a few of those, Mr. Chairman, at the planning and zoning meeting. We did. That's exactly the complaint we got from some people living on Bay Shore, where the new one is being built right now, and then across the street, they complain about one that's being used as a commercial structure. That's exactly what they said, the value of their home.
Here's the thing, we're gonna permit him to build a house or the pole metal house. That's what he's got to build. He can't build a tin building and live in it. We're gonna have him living in his house.
Well, we're talking
yeah.
about two separate things.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir. Yes, Commissioner.
Because this is a pole barn house kit.